Circuit Breaker. With one of the most eye-catching drops of any coaster, as the track itself moves before dropping the entire train. These tilt coasters have gotten great praise, and I'm becoming a big fan of newer Vekoma coasters, like Wrath of Zeus at Vin Wonders Fuquoc. But does Circuit Breaker do enough to really be an elite coaster? And does it take the new crown as the best in Texas? Find out in this review. The Circuits of the Americas itself is a multi-purpose venue with a Formula One track at its heart. And it was the first race circuit built in the United States specifically for Formula One racing. COTAland is the amusement park that will make up one section of this massive complex. It opened with the debut of Peppermint Parkway in November of 2020. Originally, this was a drive-through Christmas light experience, though it has shifted to a walk-through experience for 2025. The rides themselves might be available for other races or special events at the Circuits of the Americas throughout the year, but this has not been clearly posted on their website, so Peppermint Parkway has been by far the easiest and cheapest way to experience this park. I will have a review of that, along with the rides available in 2025. The Wacky Worm is the only other coaster available, shortly posted to my channel, or if it's in the future, go check that out now. COTAland originally promised full operations by 2022. Then that was pushed back to 2024 and 2025, and with Circuit Breaker complete, I would expect full operations of this park to begin sometime soon, but given the state of construction, even 2026 seems unlikely at this point. Vekoma, as a coaster manufacturer, has made a mix of coasters for a year. One of the most popular models, the Boomerang, is considered by Siam Amazing Park in Thailand to be the most popular coaster in the world. But with how it whips you around, I can't say that these are the most enjoyable. Similarly, Vekoma Family Boomerangs hurt my head, as Spartan Race at Vin Wonders Fuquoc was not one of my favorite coasters. However, Vekoma has excelled with marketing, as their inverted coaster SLCs are decried by coaster enthusiasts for their roughness, but were purchased by many parks across the world. Though I actually like SLCs. More recently, they have made very enjoyable family suspended coasters, such as the Eagle Warrior at Vin Wonders Fuquoc, which might be the best of that model. But beyond these family offerings, in recent years, Vekoma has worked to diversify into building better coasters. The highlight of this is Formula at Energylandia, that debuted in 2016 and showed that Vekoma could make a solid and smooth launch coaster. In 2017, Vekoma looked to follow this up by introducing their Firestorm model, which, though it was shipped to Vietnam in 2018, didn't make its debut until 2020 as Wrath of Zeus. But one odd coaster in Vekoma's portfolio is their Tilt Coaster.
That is so beautiful.
This has been duplicated by coaster manufacturers in China as a broken rail coaster, and this perfectly describes how this coaster tilts riders on the initial drop, which is by far more visually shocking than B&M's dive coasters. Though only one of these Vekoma tilt coasters was built in 2002 in Taiwan. Then, for almost 2 decades, none were built. Originally announced in 2022, Circuit Breaker seemed poised to be the second tilt coaster ever built. But Cedar Point swept in and relocated a Vekoma tilt coaster from Six Flags Mexico, and quickly opened Siren's Curse in 2025. before COTAland could open Circuit Breaker in October of the same year, with Circuit Breaker's debut coinciding with their annual Formula One race. And this is only the start, as Vin Wonders just announced that a clone of Siren's Curse will be opening in Vietnam at some point. For Peppermint Parkway in 2025, the price was rather high. There is an $8 admission price, plus you had to purchase a ride wristband separately. This was $25 for the kiddie rides and $50 if you wanted to include Circuit Breaker. There was kind of an implication that other thrill rides would be included for this price, but as COTAland is very vague with communicating things to guests, this wasn't certain. With taxes and fees, it cost me $70 to visit Peppermint Parkway with the upgraded wristband. And I feel this was pricey, but it was worth it due to the crowd levels and overall operations of the park. When I showed up 30 minutes before park opening to queue for rope drop, the attendant gave me my wristband, but was really puzzled why I was there so early. Then they didn't even have a rope drop. Like, they literally made no announcement when they opened at 5 p.m. and I got to Circuit Breaker like 6 minutes after the coaster had actually opened. So I guess just ask for them to scan you in if the attendants look ready, because no one else is going to be there. At least from my experience. Fortunately, this wasn't an issue, as no one was riding Circuit Breaker. The front row was by far the most popular, so you might have to wait a train or two specifically for that row, but the coaster was otherwise a walk-on the entire evening. And if you have the wristband, they are more than willing to let you stay in the station and fill in any unused row, which likely will be like most on the train. So if you want, you can totally marathon this coaster for the entire 5 hours that the park is open, which was more than enough time for me to get my fill of Circuit Breaker. The attendants did say that a small line can form in the evenings around 9 p.m. on a busy day, but at least on the night I visited, it was still perfectly fine to walk on this ride at that time in the evening. As for seat placement, I'm torn as far as where I liked it best. The front row was probably my least favorite, as the forces after the drop are significantly dialed back there. That was a plus, as I got beat up and tired after many re-rides though. The visual of looking down on the drop is good, but it wasn't nearly as freaky as I kind of thought that it would be. But it's certainly an experience worth having. The rush of wind in your face, especially with the cool evening air, helps with the front row experience as well. The back row though, from a forces perspective, makes everything better, and gives the solid airtime and hang time throughout the layout that's kinda missing in the front row, with a particularly powerful burst on the final bunny hill. Towards the middle, takes that ejector airtime pops of the back row and turns those more into floater airtime over the various hills. So I kinda had a tendency to prefer the middle, as this mixed the various forces that I prefer on a coaster without beating me up too much. Even my third row ride gave sneaky fun forces. So if you do have a few people riding with you, I feel you should be safe to ride in any row. Though again, you probably want to try the very front and the very back to see what your preferences are. After leaving the station, you'll notice that there is loud onboard audio, which is really cool on a coaster. The lift hill music kinda reminds me of the Q-Line music that they play for Wavebreaker at SeaWorld San Antonio. So that's a bit weird from a Texas perspective. Then the music changes to more dramatic tones as you look out on the Austin skyline, and the track moves to make you vertical. But just how good is this drop? This looks crazy off-ride. And it is special to listen to people cussing as they look down at the drop itself. To me though, the view seems similar to a drop tower. And it's a bit freaky how long you're actually held there, but no more so than say a B&M dive coaster. At least for me. What is different from those dive coasters is that you are completely vertical. So you really get to lean into the vest restraints, similar to the leaning from a traditional boomerang. The drop can be sneaky and hit with a stomach drop feeling at times, but it's only a light stomach drop sensation, at least for me as a seasoned veteran of coasters, as you disengage from the brakes. So way less than say a strong drop tower. Still, it is a fun and solid coaster drop, but it's just not like hyper exceptionally special. After the drop, you have a pretty fun layout. First, you have this small tunnel under a bridge, and on-ride, honestly, you can't tell this too much. But off-ride, it gives an amazing place for people to watch the ride go. Though like the entire plaza is really awesome for watching this coaster. This launches you into a rollover camelback, which seems to be a unique coaster element to Vekoma coasters, with most of these occurring on coasters in China. This is essentially a top hat and a barrel roll combined, though I'm not sure from looking at it off-ride if you actually invert, or if it's just a twist, but the roller coaster database seems to count it as an inversion. On-ride, it really doesn't feel too special, just a rather smooth twist upwards that then turns you around. After a small turn left, this leads into a barrel roll drop down. This is smooth and fluid on-ride. It is in the opposite direction of the previous element, so you really can feel the change in direction. And it offers a pinch of hang time further back in the train. But it's really more about just using your speed to throw various elements at you. This leads into an emolment, though the actual inversion itself is really overshadowed, quite literally, by the stall on the exit, which allows for solid hang time, making it by far my favorite inversion on the ride. Next, there are 3 bunny hills that are all a bit off axis, so you get small pops of sideways-ish airtime. But this is more like floater towards the middle of the train, and you get a little bit more of an injector whip towards the back. The first 2 act as a double up, which really works nicely to give you some airtime while bouncing upwards. Then the second hill drops you down while giving a bit more sideways airtime, which leads to a turn in the final bunny hill, which is an off-axis S-hill, which is much stronger towards the back of the train, as you can really feel the extra pop here. This leads into a very forceful turn that noticeably has stronger positive Gs than the entire rest of the ride. So essentially, it feels like a very forceful helix. Lastly, the barrel roll offers a decent amount of whip while having strong positive Gs. So I was graying out here at times, and that's not something I normally say about coasters. As positive Gs aren't my favorite on coasters, this made for a finale that just isn't quite my cup of tea. But if you like whip and positive Gs, this coaster ends with a bang. Overall, how good is Circuit Breaker? With a strong and eye-catching drop, this coaster promises a complete ride, and the layout delivers. The drop offers a fun stomach-dropping sensation, and each inversion does something a bit different. From rapid twists and turns, to to nice hang time, to strong forces and whip. This is broken up by 3 good but not excellent sideways bunny hills that add extra character to Circuit Breaker. This is a fun and complete coaster, but just lacked that extra special element that would make it truly elite. I rank Circuit Breaker a few spots above my favorite B&M dive coaster Griffin, and right above Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. This B&M Hypercoaster has a fun layout with 2 wonderful airtime hills that seem like they last forever. It's just missing that bit of extra touch to make it truly excellent. I rank Circuit Breaker right below another B&M Hyper in Apollo's Chariot, which has a fun setting out into the woods with decent airtime on its hills, but that sneaky drop by the brake run just adds an extra special touch. As for Texas, I still rank my beloved Steel Eel and its wonderful floater airtime just above Circuit Breaker, though that is likely just my personal preference, as well as still ranking Iron Rattler as the best coaster in Texas. For large Vekoma coasters, I do prefer Wrath of Zeus, as its top hat is the single best coaster element that I've ever experienced. And this hyper unique tilt drop doesn't really come close to how great Wrath of Zeus's top hat is. Though, if you can enjoy Circuit Breaker's finale, it will likely rank higher than it does for me. What are your thoughts on Circuit Breaker and Vekoma Tilt Coasters in general? What are some of your favorite elements on coasters? Let me know, and as always, Cup Kun Krop.